StitchyTube. Settle down and watch StitchyTube. That was neat. Hey, everybody. Unedited. So, how is everybody? It's been 2 weeks since last I posted, and I wasn't going to post today because I still have a lot of work to do for Market, but I would miss you guys too much, and it's really fun to make these videos, so it's good to spend time with you today. This is StitchyTube number 10, into double digits now, not including my tutorials, of course. And so it's good to be here. I got a lot to talk about today. I thought I'd start. I had one question last video. I may have had more. I'm sorry if I missed you. I've just been so busy, and I've been trying to keep up with comments, but I'm a few days behind. Becky Acosta asked me last video, when you stitch letters, do you carry your floss? Meaning, like, when you stitch a letter, do you go to the next letter with the thread in between? Yes, I do. And I know that you're supposed to, start. I can't be bothered. I have said it before and I'll say it again. I don't stitch to win ribbons. I stitch to have fun, and it's not fun for me to be tucking and snipping all the time. I'd rather be making X's. So, there are a couple of ways that I get around having this really be a problem. One is that I tend to stitch on fabric that has a really thick fiber. So I use a lot of Zweigert linens where the threads are close together, and so you're not really going to see that carry between threads. I also don't stitch on terribly light colors of fabric anymore. I used to, but gosh, I don't even remember the last time. Do I have anything started on white? I don't stitch on light colors typically, and so when you're stitching on a darker fabric, those threads behind don't seem to show as much. If you look at old samplers, and I've got a number of them, the backs of those samplers, they carried their thread all over the place. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. But also, if you have carried thread and you're seeing them from the front of your work, but when you frame it, you can put a piece of tan mat board behind it, or a piece of mat board that's kind of the color of your fabric, and those carries will just disappear. And it's like they never happened. So yes, I do carry my threads. So last time I had a drawing, and it was for some pins and a pair of black scissors, and the question was, what's not your favorite? And last time I had a new segment called Not My Favorite. I'm not going to do it today, but I will do it again in the future. Y'all seem to like it pretty well. Just minor annoyances, nothing big, nothing angry, just minor annoyances. And so I asked you all what your not favorite thing was, and Pat Van Brecht is the winner, and her not favorite thing is when somebody at work leaves the photocopier either with a jam in it or no paper. Kind of similar to the idea of like leaving the coffee pot empty. And that's a not my favorite thing. It happens to me at work sometimes too. And so congratulations to you, Pat Van Brecht. Please send me a private comment here on YouTube and with your address, and I will send your little goodies in the mail. Congratulations. Okay. I thought I hadn't talked about it before, but I thought I might just talk for a couple of minutes about how I started stitching. And I used to just kind of firmly think that I was 12 when I started stitching. And the more that I've thought about it the last, couple of years, I think I really was younger than that. I think I might have been 10-ish or so. I remember I always liked drawing and doing crafts and, taking art classes and doing artistic things. And I remember going to 4-H camp, and they had like a little shop with candy and treats and things and gum, and they had little kits that you could buy to make like a wallet or make a lanyard. And I remember they had a needlepoint kit that was strawberries on a white background, and I was like, oh, I think I could do that. And I got it. I don't have it anymore. I have no idea what happened to it. The funny thing about it, I wish I had it because it would be funny to look at, but it was just a small little piece. It came with, I think probably just cotton flosses and a little chart, and it was just a white background with strawberries, just kind of evenly spaced, just kind of like a checkerboard of strawberries. And it was needlepoint, and I didn't really know how to do, there weren't really instructions with it, So what I did is I would, like, let's say there were 3 white stitches. I would do 1, 2, 3 white stitches, pull my needle off, leave the thread hanging down, get the red, do 1, 2, 3 red stitches, pull the needle off, rethread the needle, bring over the white, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then unthread it. So I thought you had to like just go, I was constantly unthreading and rethreading my needle, but it was fun. I had fun. And I remember too that my mom's mom was a needleworker, and she did embroidery, and she crocheted, and she sewed, and she died when I was 10, and we had a kit of her just like leftover floss and stuff like that, and she had a little bookmark kit in it with roses, and I remember working on that at one point. I also have no idea whatever happened to that. I know that when I was 12, I took a cross-stitch class from my music teacher at the school I went to. They used to have a thing called Mini Week that was super fun. I would love to organize, maybe when I get older and I've got more time. But basically the idea of Mini Week was parents, grandparents, people from the community would come to the school for 1 week. And only, I think it was the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders got to participate. And people could teach any class. And so I remember taking a poetry class. I remember taking a class, do you remember color theory, where it's like, oh, are you an autumn or are you a spring? And the lady did the thing. But there was a journalism class, but you would basically get a sheet weeks ahead of time of all the people who were teaching classes. And it was like, you got to take 2 or 3 classes a day, and it was 1 hour each. I took a cake decorating class, and I took a candy making class, and that was super fun. But you got to pick classes, and they put you into these classes. And I don't know if there was a fee or not. There may have been a small fee for some of the classes. But these community members would come in, and for a whole week, once a day, they would teach a 1 hour class to a group of however many students. And it was so fun because it was the kind of stuff you wouldn't really learn in school. And there was all kinds of classes, art classes and, exercise classes, and just anything that anybody wanted to teach. They could come into the school and teach it for an hour. So fun. But anyway, my music teacher, Mrs. Benson, she also was my piano teacher. She taught a cross-stitch class, and I started stitching an angel, cross-stitching an angel, and that would have been about when I was 12. And I think about that Christmas too, Santa Claus gave me a couple of needlework kits, and there was a needlepoint, kind of counted canvas kind of a thing, or a painted canvas kind of thing. There was an embroidery kit with some flowers, but I just went, just followed the instructions and just went for it. Didn't feel any stress about it. It was just like, oh, can I figure this out? What can I do? This is fun. And so that's really kind of how I started doing needlework, is it just was kind of an extension of, kind of creativity and sitting quietly doing things, which I liked to do. And I just loved the beauty of it. I remember babysitting for a woman named Ann Zavril, and she had 2 little red-haired kids that were kind of rambunctious, and she was a needlepointer, and she had beautiful needlepoint. And I remember going to the Nordic Needle when I was little with my mom once, when they were still downtown. And there just was something about it that appealed to me and still does. Who of us can really explain what it is totally about why we like needlework? But that's how I got started. It was just kind of in bits and pieces where it's like, oh, let me try this, let me try this, let me try this. I don't have very much left of the most, the oldest things that I would have stitched. I do have, and I'll show them sometime maybe, I did my fair share of Precious Moments pieces. I stitched my mom an Emmett Kelly clown of him sweeping up the circle, because she was really into clowns for a while. Given away a lot of things during the years, and made the jump to I don't remember what my first linen project would have. Oh yeah, so my first linen project was the letter T, and my Aunt Mary, who also is still a needleworker, she mainly does like applique and things like that. She's done some cross stitch, but she does other things too. She gave me a kit. It was the letter T, and it had 2 girls swinging around it, and it came with linen, and I had no idea, and it didn't really have instructions with it. So I started stitching it over one with 2 threads, and I don't remember how that one ended up, if I ended up ripping it out or if I just finished it that way. That one we lost when our house flooded. But the thing about needlework is you get better as you go. And so if you can just keep like a lighthearted spirit about you, you'll you will get better, and you'll learn what you're good at and what you're not good at, and you just kind of start to specialize, in the things that you like to do the most and the things that you're the best at. And so if you're new to needlework, keep at it, because it's a lifelong process of learning what's fun for you and what works for you. Okay, a little bit of a market tease, because I've got market coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm still working on things, but I wanted to let you all know that I've got 2 designs that are coming out that are going to have YouTube lessons that go with them. My hair looks kind of weird. That have YouTube lessons that go with them. And so if you buy the chart, there will be a YouTube lesson that goes along with it. So it's almost like taking a class with the purchase of a chart. And I'm not going to even put commercials on those videos. I will encourage you to buy the charts to follow along with the lessons, but you can watch them even if you don't buy the chart and see if you'd like to, or just maybe decide it's not for you. But I thought it would be a fun way to just, kind of connect me to you. Maybe other designers will follow suit. I think, not all of us can get to retreats. Not all of us can afford to take classes. But for the price of a chart, you'll be able to take a class online and learn how to do something new. So those are 2 of my plans, but I'll show you more later. Not today, another time. Since market is coming up, and I haven't done one for a couple of weeks, I thought I would do another list of 10. This is a recurring segment on my videos, I just call 10. And this is 10 reasons market is fun. Market is fun for a lot of reasons. People get really enthused. I think everybody does. Shop owners, designers, stitchers. There's just a lot of enthusiasm that happens around Nashville market especially. There used to be other markets, that were real popular. There was one in Charlotte in the summertime for a long, long time that was a huge market. And that one just kind of died out. That was not a cash and carry market. It was a market where you went to the show, you placed an order, and then the shops would go back and wait for their orders to arrive. And I think the cool thing about Nashville is it's cash and carry. So you go, you see it, you buy it, you take it. And I have just great, great memories as a shop owner of going to Nashville Needlework Market and filling up boxes and boxes and boxes of new kits and fabrics and charts and threads and everything, and taking them back, and then spending like 2 days scanning everything into my computer and getting it uploaded, and just, having all that just excitement about the new things that were shown at market. One of the top 10 things of going to market is talking to the designers. And these are people, I started in the business 21 years ago. And so a lot of these people I've known for a long time. And, the first time you meet people, you're like, oh, I can't believe I'm talking to, I got to meet Teresa Wensler once. How cool is that? She was so nice. They're just people. They're just ladies and men. And they're very talented. They're just like you and me. They're people, but they're creative people. They've always got a lot of great ideas. They're super talented. It's just enjoyable to chat with them, tell them what you like about their new designs, get their ideas about things, share some of the projects maybe that you've done of theirs that you've really enjoyed. It's fun to talk to the designers. And so, I wish in a way that Nashville was open for everybody, but of course it can't be. But talking to the designers is a lot of fun, and having them all there at once is great, because it ends up being like 160 different designers and distributors and suppliers and things. And so just talking to all these creative people over the course of a weekend, it just pumps you up. You get really excited. Talking to shop owners is number 2, and it's always fun to hear, what kinds of things, what's going on in your shop, what kinds of things are people stitching these days, do you have any funny stories? It's also just a connection when you talk to the shop owners. It's a connection from the designer to the stitcher, because like I said, stitchers can't really go to Nashville Market, and so talking to the shop owners is a way almost to reach out to the stitchers and share yourself with them. And the shop owners that are still around, God bless them, they do a great job. It's not easy running a needlework store. A lot of people said to me over the years, oh, it's my dream to have a needlework store. It would be so great to sit and stitch all day and just watch your store. Yeah, I never did that. Not once did I ever sit and stitch all day in my needlework store. You gotta do the bookwork, you gotta ship, You got to order, you got to receive, you got to update your website, you have to clean the bathroom. It's running a business. And so it would be great to be independently wealthy and have a needlework store and hire people to run it, and then you just be kind of the, walk around and play with the things. But shop owners are doing the hard work, and they really are the backbone of the whole idea of needlework, because they're the ones that are getting the products to you consumers. And so I have a lot of appreciation for the people who work so hard to keep our shops open and do such a great job keeping us all supplied with great things. The fabric is so wonderful to see piles and piles and piles of fabric. Picture This Plus always comes with like tables and tables and tables piled high with fabrics, and it's amazing. And R&R Reproductions will bring piles and piles of fabric, and they just get people come in and they swoop it up, and it's just, oh man, what needleworker doesn't love fabric, especially hand-dyed fabric? But even just the regular fabrics, Weeks Dye Works hand-dyed fabrics are beautiful. Lakeside Linens used to go to market, and it was so great to see all those fabrics. But it's to look at the piles of fabrics and think about how many pieces are going to be stitched on this fabric and how wonderful, these are like, it's like little eggs that are going to grow into beautiful chickens of cross-stitch pieces. The threads is number 4. Again, piles and piles and piles of threads. Metallics at the Kreinik booth. The new colors at the Gentle Arts booth, and then they always have like a big display of all their colors. Weeks Dye Works brings rounders of all of her threads, and then also she has rounders of just all kinds of hand-dyed wools. And let me tell you, you want to see some heavy-duty drilling, go hang out by those wool racks, because her hand-dyed wools are amazing. But Gloriana, the threads are beautiful, and the Thread Gatherer, all her beautiful silks, and sometimes she does like grab bags, and I'm probably forgetting people, but to see all the thread, the sparkly thread, the beautiful colors of thread, and again, it's just that potential for what will these threads be used for, and you just can imagine, like, what could I do with this? What is somebody going to do with this? Oh, Dinky Dyes. Dinky Dyes has beautiful threads too. So that was number 4. Number 5, market exclusives. They always ends up being like controversy with market exclusives, and it's one of those kind of like necessary evils. Market exclusives are designs or often kits that are only available at market to the shops that attend. And so it's a way that designers can encourage shops to attend the market. You never know how they're going to go over. I've had market exclusives where they kind of flopped, and I've had market exclusives where they sold out, and you just never know how people are going to respond to them. I've never had anybody yell at me over a market exclusive, but I know that it happens. And typically what happens is a designer will have a market exclusive. They don't bring enough, they don't know. They bring as many as they can put together, and that's what they have. And then sometimes a shop or two will come in and buy 100 each, and then they run out within the first day, and not every shop had the opportunity to buy them. It's hard to do a market exclusive. It creates excitement. People love market exclusives, but it sometimes does create headaches for the designers and for the shop owners too, because it is frustrating to have a shop and to make the trip to market and to have things that you were not able to buy because, you didn't make it in time. You can't get to every booth at once. And so, but it's fun to see the market exclusives. They're always creative and very cutely packaged and kind of fun, but I always enjoy those. Number 6, the little extras. So a lot of times designers will make, and I'm doing it too, things that you can buy that aren't necessarily needlework or needlework related, but it's just like buy some of these. Nikki from Nikki's Creations always brings beautiful little, I remember this one year she made these beautiful little, I think, velvet carrots. And Frank from Mosey and Me used to do little paintings where he just would, if he was on a trip or something, he would just sit and make little paintings and then get these little clear plastic frames and put the paintings in the frames. He also would do little rug hooked ornaments and things. Patty at Samsara one year made these like corn filled, like you put it like a sack, like a big sack that you heat up in the oven or in the microwave, and you can put it like on your sore muscles and things. And they had really pretty fabrics and things. Just Primitive Hair last year had some really beautiful pins and hand-dyed fabrics, and it's things that are limited, that they only bring so many, and when they're sold out, they're sold out. Again, it ends up being a controversy sometimes. I remember, different times where somebody would, bring something that everybody wanted, and, they were handmade items, and so they could only make 50 of them or whatever, and then people were kind of ticked that there weren't enough. But it's just, again, they're like little surprises. If you get one, it's kind of fun, and if not, it's just kind of how it goes. Number 7, the new designs. And of course, that really should be these are in no particular order, but seeing the new designs is so inspiring. Think about how excited you get to go to your local shop or to look on your favorite website and see what the new designs are for Market. But then imagine seeing all of the original models in one weekend for those things. And, if you figure there are 160 booths and people have an average of 5 new things per booth, there are so many new things. And so it's easy to feel overwhelmed, especially as a shop owner. I think you go and it's like, okay, what's going to sell? And you know what you like. And sometimes there were times I would go to Market and I would be like, oh my gosh, everyone's going to go crazy over this. Nope. And it was like, okay, I guess I was the only one. And then sometimes you're like, oh, I'll get a couple of this. I don't know how this will go in. Whew. Everybody wanted it. And so you just never know. A lot of times though. A lot of times it's like, okay, this is going to be a big seller. But seeing the new designs just is amazing, because isn't it fun to look at needlework anyway? And so you're looking at all of this beautiful needlework, and the lighting is really good, and everything is really cutely organized and displayed. Barb and Alma at Blackbird Designs always have the cutest booth with just the most clever display ideas. And it's just fun to see the designs. Number 8, the freebie charts. It's pretty common for the booth people, the designers, to have little free charts that shops can take back and photocopy for their customers, which is really nice. I've done it a few times. I don't know if I'm going to get one done this year or not. I'd like to. But the freebie charts are fun. Also, you may not know this, a lot of times designers and booth people will have little just things that you can pick up for free. Usually it's like candy, and a lot of times it'll be like, oh, this is a candy that you can only get locally, or someone will bring something baked from their amazing bakery that's only in their town. Sometimes they'll have little giveaways like nail files or little rulers, but all these little freebies are just it's like, oh, a little treat. And every year people are pretty gentle about taking the freebie things, and you should be, because it's, we're trying to be upstanding citizens. And I remember there were years I was like, I'm going to take candy at every booth and I'm going to take it all home. I never did. It'd be like, oh, a Kit Kat, or, ooh, Reese's peanut butter cups. But you're just so excited about the needlework. It's really hard to get excited about the candy. Number 9, after hours. And, Market goes on all day, and it doesn't end there, because you're doing a lot of networking and you're doing a lot of visiting and catching up with people that you really enjoy. Needleworkers, shop owners, designers, the people that create our lovely fabrics and threads and embellishments are just such interesting people, and they love what they do. And I've found that, for the most part, the people who are at Market are just genuinely nice. Everybody's got their little quirks. Everybody's got their interesting stories. You commiserate about, difficult customers or difficulties with your printing or ideas for future products or designs. And so you do things like you go out for drinks, or you have dinner. And I've been out to dinner with many different designers over the years and different shop owners. And it's really just fun to be among like-minded people. And I've said it before, but a lot of times being a needleworker is a very solitary activity, and we do it at home by ourselves mostly. And so to spend a weekend, during the show, but also after the show with like-minded people is just really special. And it just is a great thing. And that leads me to number 10, which is enthusiasm. And you leave, if you get to go to market, you leave the weekend with a million ideas and a million hopes and dreams and a million good feelings and happy memories. And, as a shop owner, your shop owners get tired sometimes. It is not an easy thing to run a business, any business. And I know as a shop owner, but also as a designer, to go and spend a weekend with these wonderful creative people and see these wonderful, amazing products, you leave feeling so happy and so hopeful about what the year is going to bring. And you just want to go home and share it with everybody. So those are the 10 reasons market is fun. Okay. A common segment that I do every video is what I'm all into. And so I've got a few things that I'm all into this week, and I'm going to start with, I think, my favorite what I'm all into right now. And my favorite what I'm all into right now is Mr. Rogers. I love Mr. Rogers, and I've been thinking about him often the last few years. I was born in 1970, and I think his show started in 1968. And so when I was a child, was kind of the birth of his show. And, that was back when TV had 4 stations. You had NBC, ABC, CBS, and PBS, period. That's what we had. And there weren't a lot of kids shows, but there was Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, Neighborhood, and Electric Company were 3 of my favorites. And of course, growing up with, and even, like Jim Henson with the Muppets, I think I have a great affinity for gentle men and gentle women. But Mr. Rogers was just such a kind and gentle and creative person. And believe it or not, he made 886 episodes of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And he produced his show from 1968 to 2001, and he passed away in 2003 from stomach cancer. But he was very influential, and I think, one of the cool things that Mr. Rogers did was he televised and he popularized the idea of talking to children like they were people and not like they were kids who couldn't understand things. And so he was very open and honest. I really preferred the parts of his show where it was Mr. Rogers or he was visiting people. The Land of Make-Believe, you would think a kid would like that better, but I really liked seeing Mr. Rogers better than the Land of Make-Believe. And one of the things I liked about him was his songs that he had. I'm going to sing a few right now. Just a few lines. There's one called, "There are many ways to say I love you. There are many ways to say I care about you. You can never go down and never go down, can never go down the drain." Because he had to sing a song about how you were too big to go down the drain in the bathtub. What do you do with the mad that you feel when you feel so mad you could bite? When the whole wide world seems very wrong and nothing you do seems very right. One of my favorite songs of his is It's You I Like. It goes like this. It's you I like. It's not the things you wear. It's not the way you do your hair. It's you I like. The way you are right now. The way down deep inside you. Not the things that hide you. Not your toys. They're just beside you. But it's you I like. Every part of you. Your skin, your eyes, your feelings, whether old or new. I hope that you'll remember even when you're feeling blue, that it's you I like, it's you yourself, it's you I like. How could you not love a man that create such beauty. I think part of what it is about Mr. Rogers right now is that we need him. I think sometimes the world seems so cruel and cold, and a lot of times we can feel so anxious and so alone and worried. And he was such a comfort. You know, when you think about how he would come in and take off his jacket, put on his sweater, put on his sneakers, and just be like, you know, here I am. It's time. Let's talk about some things. Mr. Rogers, I guess they're making a movie, and Tom Hanks is going to play Mr. Rogers, which I think is great. They're also releasing a stamp with Mr. Rogers at the end of March this year, which is cool. And I just found out that they're creating a Funko Pop Mr. Rogers figurine, which I will get as soon as it comes out. I don't know when it's going to come out, but I will share it when it comes out. If you're feeling sad, look up some of Mr. Rogers' videos here on YouTube. I'll maybe put a couple of links below. You can't not feel good watching him. And I watched a few of his videos this morning before I made this, before I started making this video, and people inevitably say that they are moved to tears watching him. What a good person. Okay, on a totally different topic, I'm all into, funny socks. And we got some socks at the store this week, and I was like, oh, I have to get those. Sunny side up egg socks. They're super cute, yeah? So here's the funny thing about these. I work with a very, very nice lady named Maggie, and she has been at the bookstore for 50 years, literally 50 years. And these are part of her inventory that comes in. She manages the book side of the Barnes & Noble that I work at. And so like cards and stationery and toys and things like that. And so these came in, and this was one of her new things that came in this week. And she's very, very sweet. She's very sweet. And she's a smart lady. But then in some ways, it's not that she's not smart, but she just has like almost a, how do I want to say it? She just, not childish, but like like she has an innocence about her that is just very endearing. And so these socks came in, and I saw them from afar. She had them hanging on the wall already, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I love those egg socks. They're also bacon socks." And she said, "Yeah, they're men's socks." And I said, "Oh, really? How do you know that?" And she said, "'Cause it says homies on the socks." Word for men. So I got me some homie socks. Okay, I usually talk about a treat or a food that I'm into, and I found this again this week. Juicy Fruit Fruity Chews, and you can get them at the register a lot of times, but you can't often find them in the bag. Juicy Fruit is a delicious gum, yes? And I like to chew gum now and then. But here's the problem with Juicy Fruit typically, is that the flavor lasts 3 seconds and then you're just chewing a piece of rubber. Not true with Juicy Fruit Fruity Chews. It is the classic Juicy Fruit flavor, and they come in these little, like kind of rounded pellets, and they're delicious, and they hang on to their Juicy Fruit flavor for a long time. Hard to find the bag. Easier to find the little cup, like with the flip lid. But if you like gum and give it a try. It's really good. And I don't know, it's sugar-free. I think most gum is sugar-free nowadays. Okay, number 4 thing that I'm all into is the idea of a clean out. I told my husband last week, I was like, this is the year we clean out. Because we moved here, this will be 12 years ago. And, the time that we were at the house before that for 9 years. And when you move, you're forced to like pare down your belongings, get rid of things that are broken, don't fit, have outlived their usefulness, are gross, dirty, whatever. And we still have boxes in the garage that came when we moved here that are just still, and we've never in 12 years opened those boxes. I would really like to just clean out this year and just get rid of anything. They say you should not keep anything you should only keep things that are useful. What is it? Useful or beautiful? Things that you find to be useful or beautiful. There might be a third thing. Delicious, maybe. But anyway, I love the idea of just cleaning out, and maybe, maybe aftermarket. I wish, one of the reasons I would like to get back to designing is that, for the last few years, I've had, 3 different managerial jobs that keep me busy many hours a week, and it keeps me away from home. And I feel like I'm not able to do a good job maintaining the home, making sure that I have meals cooked and making sure that, things are clean and tidy. And so we'll see. We'll see how things go. Number 5 thing that I'm all into is pierogies. And maybe I'll make a video sometime. Let me know if you'd be interested. My father his parents were both 100% Polish. His grandparents moved to the United States from Poland. And my last name growing up was Andrzejewski. And it was Andrzejewski, which had J's and C's and W's, and it was like this big long last name. But they changed it to Andrzejewski when they moved to the United States, or it was changed for them. And so my grandma, Jean, was a great lady. She was very funny, very sweet. She liked a good joke, and she was a good cook. And she taught me how to make Polish pierogies. And the ingredients are not tricky. It's butter and flour and milk and salt and egg. And I've never had freezer groceries. I know you can get them now at the grocery store. I just would never want to try one because there's no way they're as good as homemade. But a pierogi is basically like a little noodle, homemade noodle that's shaped round. And think of it, it's kind of like a ravioli. I think the Italians maybe call it mezzaluna, which means half moon. And so it's a circle that you fold on itself, but you stuff it. And so people often ask me what I like to put in mine. Like, oh, do you do potato or do you do, meat or whatever? No, my grandma did farmer's cheese, which is tricky to find. She used to use a farmer's cheese that kind of crumbled apart when you opened it, and it was more kind of like the consistency of feta. But farmer's cheese is a soft cheese. Usually when I find it, I have to shred it. It's a soft cheese, similar in consistency to maybe like just a slightly thicker mozzarella or a slightly denser mozzarella. And it's kind of salty, and it's a tangy cheese. So it has more flavor than mozzarella, but it's pretty white. It's a pretty white cheese. And so I grate the cheese, and I mix in an egg and some salt and pepper and some sauteed onions. My stomach's going to start growling. It's so good. I'm making something later today. And then the other filling that I do is sauerkraut. And so I rinse the sauerkraut and wring it out to get most of the moisture out. And again, I put in, do I do an egg in with that? I might do an egg in with that. I don't remember. And then salt and pepper and onion again. And so then you make the dough. You make the fillings. You roll it out. And you cut, I have a pierogi cutter that my grandma got me that's just a plastic, it's probably a $3 pierogi cutter. You can also use a cup or like a glass. And the pierogi cutter that I have, I should have brought it. It folds on itself, and so it makes a fluted edge. But you can just pinch them closed too, and I've done that plenty of times. I don't make them very often because they're very messy. You make a lot of dishes, and it's just kind of a laborious process. But anyway, so you make these little half moons with it's like a pasta dough and the fillings. Then you boil it in water, and then when they rise to the top, you take them out and you kind of let them just dry a little bit. And then you saute them in butter. Then you put them on a plate, and you put a dollop of sour cream on top with some pepper, maybe a little salt. So good. It's definitely a comfort food. They're really good. So I'm all into pierogies, and I'm going to make some today. I maybe only make them once a year. Maybe if I can go back to designing full time, I'll make them more often. Okay, another thing that I love that I'm all into is dollar deals. And this week, it's kind of like we're well past Christmas, but at the store, we still had calendars and planners and Christmas cards, and then just some other things like just kind of inventory that had gotten kind of old. And we never know what's going to go on clearance at Barnes & Noble. They just send us a list, and it'll be like, okay, these are the things that you marked to half. And then they get marked to 75. And then they get marked to $1, and then they get marked out of stock. And we usually donate ours to the local thrift store for the animal shelter so that they can sell them and make money for the shelter. But When things go to $1, it's super fun. And who doesn't love getting a bargain? I mean, I do. And so I got some bargains. And actually, this is going to be my drawing this week because I got enough to share. And so even though I didn't spend a lot, I'm giving this to you. So one of you can get, I got 3 things for you. Cute little Christmas note cards. I love this Rifle Paper Company stuff that we carry. It doesn't sell super well, but it's very cute. And so these just say Happy Holidays, and they've got cute little drawings on them. Okay, so you're going to get a pack of those cards. This is the Rifle Company too, and these are 2 little notebooks. This one's got leopards and tigers and little birdies, and then the back one is pink and gold stripes. And they're tiny little, just high quality paper notebooks. And then Tokidoki, this is totally different, but I love popcorn, and I'll talk about popcorn sometime. But I got this set of 2 Tokidoki notebooks. How cute. How cute is that? They're little popcorn notebooks. So that is the prize for this video. And to enter, don't say giveaway in the comments. I want you to tell me something that you're all into right now. So maybe not something that you like generally, but something that you like lately have found yourself really eating or using or doing. Just something that you're all into. And share that below, and then next time I make a video, I'll announce the winner and I'll ship you those goodies, and they'll be yours to keep. All right, guys, that's what I'm all into this week. Not too much left. I thought I'd share a story. This one is slightly off color, but you know, we're all adults here, right? This is y'all enjoyed the story that I shared last time about my mom trying to sing in the car. A lot of you said that you also can't sing, and that's okay. That's okay. But I thought I'd share a story I thought of this morning when I was younger. I grew up in North Dakota, and we loved to play in the snow. When it snowed, we would go outside and make forts and sled. We had a sloped front yard, so we could sled down our front yard. And, you know, build snowmen, throw snowballs, you name it. We would do it. So this one time, it snowed a really good snowman snow. And if you've grown up somewhere cold, you know that there are different types of snow. You get snow where it's kind of grainy and powdery, and then you get the snow that's like the big snowflake snow, where it's, you know, really distinct, beautiful snowflakes. You get the sideways kind of wet, sleety snow. Well, this snow was perfect snowman snow. It kind of comes down in clumps, and it's got moisture in it, and it's really good for packing. Like you just, I don't know. It's a good snowman snow is what we had. So my brother and I went outside and made a snowman in the front yard. And it was pretty big. It was probably, you know, a 5-foot tall snowman. And it was just the standard 3 balls, carrot nose, something for eyes, whatever we had, hat on its head, and sticks for the arms or whatever. Well, I went inside, and my brother stayed out and worked on it a little bit longer, and then he came in. Now we lived on, and this was on a Saturday, we lived on a road. We lived on just the second house in off of the main road. It was a pretty busy road. And there wasn't like a stoplight or anything, but it was a thoroughfare? It was a main way to get through town. And so the next morning was Sunday, and the snowman was in the front yard, just right there, okay? So we all get in the car, we're all dressed up, gonna go to church. It's probably like 9:15, you know, it's for 9:15 mass probably, so it's probably 8:45. And we all get in the car, the garage door goes up, we all start to back out like this, right? All of us look to the side and at the snowman, and my brother had added a giant wiener to the snowman, like a giant, like the length of your arm, sticking up at an angle. He was probably like 9 or 8 or 10, I don't know. So we all look at this, and I don't remember what got said, but I think it was just noise in the car, like, ugh, right? So my dad throws the car into park, jumps out of the car, runs over to the snowman, and just kicks the wiener off of the snowman. Because we're on this main road, so people all night and all morning if they cared, if they looked in the snowman in our yard, it was a giant snowman with a big problem going on in the front. So my dad kicked the wiener off the snowman and then got back in the car. And I'm sure my brother got chewed out. I'm sure that I laughed. And I was one of those kids that if my brother would fart or burp at the table, it made me laugh every time. And my mom would be like this. And I'd be like, how can you not laugh? It's so funny. Pete, he was a bit of a pill. He's still a pill sometimes. But anyway, that's the snowman story. And that's the only time he ever did that to my knowledge. I have a couple of show and tell things and a little bit more to talk about, and then we're going to be done. I can't show you what I'm working on because I'm working on things for market, and I really don't want to share those until right when we get to market. And so you're going to just have to wait. But I thought I'd share a few of my years past FFOs because it's kind of fun to see, not just things people have been recently working on, but things that people have finished. This one is a prairie schooler, and it's called Farmer's Market. And, you've all seen the beautiful alphabets that the Prairie Schooler does. And isn't that pretty? It's just done in DMC. I stitched it on 32 count lamb's wool linen. I think it was charted for a Jobelin, if I remember correctly. But I really like working on linen, so I did it on linen. And I just did it in the called for colors. These alphabet charts are really fun because each little square is just maybe like 20 by 20 stitches or something like that, or 18 by 18. And so you just are finishing. It's like, oh, A is done, B is done, C is done. I have also used some of the alphabet charts to make ornaments and things, and they really are cute. But I thought I'd share that. This is a frame I got when I finished this piece. I don't have this one dated, but I got it framed at Michael's. It was a Michael's frame, and I probably stitched this piece, I don't know, 18 years ago maybe or something. I don't know. But isn't it cute? It was one that, out of her alphabet charts, it stuck around the longest. But I just thought this was one of the cutest ones, and so it hangs in my kitchen. All right, so that's one. Another piece, and I went up to the attic to get the third piece I'm going to show you, but I found this up there. I don't have this hanging. I have things up there. I need to just hang, but maybe that'll be part of my clean out, is that we get some things out of the attic. Now, this frame is kind of beat up because this is, again, something I stitched a long time ago. This is a little Mary Englebright cross stitch of teapots. And isn't that cute? I really went through a big Mary Englebright phase for a long time. I've stitched a number of cross stitch pieces of Mary Englebright's. I subscribed to her. She had a magazine, and I started with issue 1, Mary Englebright Home Companion. Loved that magazine. They did away with it at one point, and I just was devastated because it was such a creative, beautiful, fun, cheerful magazine. And every issue had a paper doll in it, a different paper doll. And I still have all the paper doll pages, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I just think they're too cute to throw away. So that's that. Now, this is not a book that's still available, but I know you can find it on eBay. I've seen it on eBay. It comes in this Mary Englebright Cross Stitch for All Seasons book, which has a lot of other great patterns in it. And when I have seen it on eBay, sometimes it's like $1, $2, $3, $4. Totally worth it if you love Mary Englebright. Oh, and I've got somebody scribbled in the front, so that's how old this is. But this one is just different seasons. I guess I'll do a quick flip through just of a few of the pages. Here's Everyone Needs Their Own Spot. Very cute. Now, she had a few books that had cross stitch in them. Look at this cute little trick-or-treater. And the borders are always so fun. And they're just all stitched in DMC. And there's lots of projects in here, not just the ones I'm showing you. There's lots of ornaments and pillows and different things. Here's a beautiful beautiful Santa, I believe. So do go look for this book. If you like Mary Englebright, even if you don't, go look for it. eBay is going to be your best bet. You might be able to find copies on, here's some cute snowmen. Amazon, you might be able to find some copies. Because I think Mary Englebright, I don't know if she's as popular as she was. I know she's still popular because she still makes her calendars and things. But I just know that in the 90s, she just was all the thing. And everybody loved Mary Englebright. I still do. And look at how cute this is. It's got a little floss bobbin, a little stitcher. So check it out. Check it out. Okay. Last thing for today is another FFO from back in the day. This I stitched in 1996. And I just want to say, congratulations to Linda Ebright at Lizzie Kate. She has announced that she is retiring, and I've known Linda for a long, long time. She is one of the nicest people ever. She and her husband, Alan, have operated their business for such a long time. I mean, it's been probably 22 years-ish or something like that, because I remember the first time I saw her patterns. I lived in Winona, Minnesota, and the nearest cross stitch was 35 minutes away in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And it was just a great little shop, and they had these patterns by Lizzie Kate, and I was like, what? I mean, I had never seen anything like it. They just were so like kind of whimsical and cute, and they used these overdyed threads that I really wasn't familiar with. And anyway, so I bought a couple of patterns that first time that I saw them because I just thought they were so cool. The next year I was pregnant, or that year I was pregnant, and I had my son, and he developed a terrible infection right after birth and had to have a spinal tap, and he was in the hospital for a week, and he came home and had to have home health nurses come, and it was kind of a very trying time. And I worked on this piece, Come With Thankful Hearts. That was one of her first designs, stitched in sampler threads from back in the day. And this piece still means a lot to me because it was, I remember that how lucky we are that Graham was okay and received good assistance, and that we had so much support from family and friends. Linda is one of those rare designers, I feel, because designers are creative people. Creative people sometimes find it hard to be organized, follow schedules, do paperwork, right? Because I think sometimes, when you're really creative, your mind is off on one way and it's hard to keep a balance. And I don't know how she did it, but Linda, for 20 some years, kept that balance, and she stayed right on track, and she released things when she said she was going to release them, and she continually came up with cute, fun to stitch designs using beautiful colors, with beautiful sentiments. She had great kits and charts, and everything always looked so professional, and she worked very hard. I saw her give a presentation once, I think at Market maybe, about what a day in the life of Lizzie Kate looked like. And she talked about how the phone would start ringing sometimes at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they would, she would stitch, she would design, she would pack charts. She showed a picture of her sitting in the car. They had gone to Taco Bell for tacos for lunch, and she was sitting in the car and putting charms into tiny little bags, because her charts a lot of times have a little bag of charms, and so she's stuffing little charms into bags even while she's trying to have her lunch. And she worked extremely hard, and she's just one of those people that would never say anything mean about anyone. She had a positive spirit. Her husband Alan is delightful, funny, kind, sweet, responsive. They just are two super special people. And I think, while I'm sad to see them go, I'm happy that I know them. And of course, I wish them the best for retirement and whatever fun that has to bring. I can't imagine what it will be like for her to rest now, to not have that pressure of what's the next design. Because as a designer at Market, you go and you have all of this beautiful new stuff, right? That you've just spent a crazy amount of hours getting ready and printing and folding and whatever. And you go and you're like, here it is. Here's everything I've been working so hard on. And so many people will come in your booth and go, okay, but what's next? And it's like, I just did all this. And Linda always had a what's next. She just had such a plan and such a gift. And she shared so much of herself with us. And I think the cross stitch community is better for her having been in it. And I'm delighted that she's able to now take a rest and do some things that she would like to do. Hopefully she'll just have a whole bunch of fun. Anyway, good luck to Linda and Alan. God bless you both. You're two great people. That's all I've got for this week. I'm going to be sitting in my chair today working on market stuff still, and that's what I'll be doing for the next 2 weeks, getting ready. I will update. I will try to update. I will update before I leave. I also am going to try to do some market floss tube videos like during market, like maybe each evening do a quick 15-minute update of how the day went. If you're interested, I think it might be kind of fun, and I might see if some of my designer friends would be willing to say hi to you on video so you can see them and how great they are. But anyway, it was good to spend time with you today. I hope that you have a great week. Happy stitching, and best of luck to you. Ta-ta! Bye-bye.